All right, traders, in this video, what we're going to be doing is walking you through the mechanics of the time and sales. Now, the time and sales is literally like a receipt to the market, because what it does is it basically provides you a snapshot in time of the executed order book, right? And you can actually load a time and sales on the Tickblaze platform in two ways. You can come down here under the docked layouts and you can hit new time and sales. We can add another time and sales and you can link it, okay? Or you can ultimately do it up here for the floating, and you could load a time and sales here, which can ultimately be independent, and you can link, you can have that on a floating layout as well. Both of these examples, or depending if you use a docked or a floating layout, they will ultimately be the exact same. So I'm just going to use a docked for this example, and how you choose to build it out on your workspace is your prerogative, okay? Now, for the most part, I've got futures, Forex, crypto, and stocks, and we're going to go through this for a couple different examples. You'll notice here that I've got a few columns preset. If I right-click in the time and sales, there's only really two windows for editing. I'm going to click on tool settings for a second, and it's very straightforward. If you want to display the ask ticks, if you want to display the bid ticks, and if you want to display the trade ticks, you can. And you can just hit OK. By default, we have them always turned on. And under the next section is the table settings. This is where the magic happens, and this is where you get to customize all your colors and your settings, your fonts, and all that fun stuff. And let's just kind of go through it together. So if I wanted to change the background, the text, the horizontal lines, I don't have any horizontal lines in here, but let's say I wanted to do that, and let's say I want to put it to gray, right? So let's just do that here for a second. And hit OK and hit apply. You'll see that there, right? If I don't want to have that, right, I just put it back, and you can see that there, right? It's really your preference how you want to see the time and sales. Now, under here, you can see vertical lines, font. You can actually do the same as watch lists. You can actually sort your columns the same way that we do watch lists. You can actually sort them here. If I want to choose to turn them on, I can actually sort the columns. And if I wanted to actually sort the columns by type or by size, I could sort them by size. Like, let's say I wanted to sort all of my, I could drag that up here and I could create size. And if I wanted to go to type, I can have two different filters, and I can sort them by size, or I could sort them by type, etc. But for the most part, I would say 90% of people aren't doing this. We can drag it back out. We can drag it back out, remove it. And let's go into the table settings and turn them off. Okay, because most people aren't scanning inside of the time and sales. If you are, you're probably a pretty advanced time and sales trader. And, you know, I could probably learn a few things from you. Now, outside of all that, let's go in and actually take a look at the other settings that are ultimately going to be good for you to understand. The visible columns are what you're seeing, and if you wanted to have your time at local time, you could change the time to local time, and this will basically be the time that is showing in your time zone on your computer, right? By default, it's set to the exchange time. If your local time is the exchange time, then great, right? It really just depends on what you choose. Now, I've got it set to price, size, and type. You can add more to it if you choose. There's a whole lot of other functions in here, but for the most part, these are the defaults. Now, what we're gonna do is, before I go through this, you're gonna see that I've got last trade here. DXFeed, as our data provider, provides certain types of data for certain types of markets, and how it filters its ticks and how it filters its bid and its ask. How it displays the data is slightly different for each market. And you're going to see that these are different colors in here. So the way that the data provider allows us to see at bid, at ask, at current price, above bid, below ask, you know, these types of things. For certain markets, it's going to be reflected in the price column, whereas others, it's going to be reflected in the type column. And it really just depends on the data feeds that are coming in from the provider. So let me show you an example. If I click on the Aussie, you're going to see that it's going to say bid and ask in here, Whereas that's because the feeds are coming differently for Forex than they are for the actual futures markets, right? And if you go into crypto, you're going to see here crypto is the same as futures. It's just the way that the data provider sends that in. So let's go back and take a look at gold for a second, okay? And so if I'm going in here and I look at these different colors, there's a reason for it, right? There's actually a reason for those colors. And you can go into the table rules and you can actually see these table rules. You can create new rules if you choose to, if you want to create colors and scans. But for the most part, the default is going to be pretty much what everybody's going to use right out the gates, especially if you're new to trading or even if you're a little bit more experienced. The way we set the defaults are pretty comprehensive and you'll be able to see why, right? If I want to show orders, ask at the tick, bid at the tick, or if I want to go above ask or below the bid, at the ask, at the bid, you're going to see that these colors are all pre-configured. So if I click down here and if I go below the bid, all the bright blue colors are orders executing at below the bid, right? If I show you above the ask, red, this red one here that just showed here, it's 27.42. This was above the ask price, right? And so this is why, you can come in and take a look at these colors. You can change the colors if you choose to, but it's really, really there for you to understand what it's telling you. And think of this as kind of like a snapshot of the market, right? You can see the size is just one contract. It's a pretty thin market right now. But if I wanted to go in here and create a table settings and I wanted to create orders that were ultimately, if I wanted to create a size order and I wanted to have an order that was greater than a certain amount, I can scan for block trades. If I was in a time of day where I was seeing larger size come in, I could sort any type of scan for above, let's say 10 orders, 10 contracts. And if I wanted to, I could create a scan where I say color the cell for the column, and we're going to find the size column. And let's say if I want to, if I'm above 10, right, I could, this could be a green. I could set this up. These are buying, or I could set it up however I choose, any color I want, right? If I wanted to highlight this, maybe I want to put it as a yellow so that I can see this in anything that is above 10 contracts. The background yellow and this, there we go. Right now, I probably won't see an order of 10 contracts at this time of me filming. I'm filming in the evening and it's a pretty thin time to be trading, but I can come in here and I can change this and I can say block trades, block 10 plus, right? And I could basically set that up. And that way, if I go, okay, any order that comes in here above 10 under this, right, will basically highlight 10, right? It'll highlight in yellow and I'll see that under the size column, right? You could go to an S&P contract and I might be able to see maybe 10 contracts a little easier, or if I go to a market that's actually trading heavily right now, I could do that. But for the most part, you can set these scanners up however you choose, right? And I think it's important to know that because some people want to see the block trades if you're trying to scan for really large orders. It just really depends on your preference, right? And you can set the scans up however you choose based on your preference, right? So this is a quick overview of the time and sales. If you want to drag the time and sales around, you could move the time and sales to another side of the chart, right? It's really a preference for you if you want to put it, below or above your watch list or these types of things. I like to have it on the side because then it allows me to pin it. If I don't want to see the orders at that time, it's not necessary all the time. Some people like to use the time and sales as a timing tool. If they start seeing the orders pumping at the bid or pumping at the ask, you'll be able to see that in the time and sales. And it really gets to be color coded. You can set the colors up however you choose, okay? Now remember, when you're saving these, okay, table settings are a theme template. So when you save a theme template, right, you can save, this can be time and sales. Let's call this TNS demo, right? And I hit save as. Now this is a demo template. When I'm exporting my templates, if I go to tools and I want to go to export resources, you're going to notice that you're going to go down to theme templates And if I go to custom, you're going to see the time and sales right there. If I only want to export that, I can come down and I can choose time and sales demo and export that. Just make sure that whenever you want to back up your resource files or save your computer settings, you basically export the theme templates for anything that has to do with watch lists or any type of custom scans on the time and sales or anything around the platform. They're always going to be under theme templates, okay? So that's a quick overview of the time and sales. Remember, you can create block scans. You can create scans for different types of orders. You can create scans for price levels and different colors for at the bid or at the ask or below or above. It really is a preference, but the way we've set up the defaults is pretty standard for almost 95% of all traders. Should you want a custom scan built inside of the time and sales, or if you want something that is a little bit more advanced, please feel free to contact our team and we can hop on a Zoom call with you and we can get that built out on your computer. All right, traders, take care and we'll see you in the next video.